thing to play again.
James, honey, did something happen to you?
Okay, I guess we'll just let it play. Hold
After we
on.
got separated in that long hallway? Are you confusing me with someone else?
I think I need to turn the volume up.
You were always so forgetful. Remember that time in the hotel?
I'm sorry if this is super loud now.
You said you took everything.
Maria.
But you forgot
Maria.
the videotape we made.
Where is that fucking sound clip? I have it on my desktop somewhere. Hold on.
How do you know about that? Aren't you?
When I was over there, it was like one of 5 things on the desktop the whole time.
I usually keep my desktop pretty clean.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things that I just I have to leave out because they bring me a lot of joy and I need easy access to them. And
Lots of pictures of pumpkins and one Tribeca yelling Maria. Maria.
He doesn't know how to say the names. Because he's a silly man. But like I said, it's fine. We're safe from Troy Baker today.
Yeah.
Because we're playing Silent Hill 2, the original, and not the horrible HD remaster.
When I have this cursed knowledge.
It's fine. It's fine. The knowledge will be put to use in 2 games? 3 games?
In some
2.
way.
And that's gonna be cool and great and fun and neat.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm genuinely excited about this. And I wanted to play last weekend, but I just felt like such ass that I was like, I can't right now. I'm feeling much better, so we can actually enjoy a game now.
Silent Hill 2 is for a lot of people, the if not top 10, best game ever.
Yeah, it's pretty dang
video
good.
game nerds. It is actually very good.
Genuinely pretty dang good game. I think I would put it in one of my probably my top 20 horror games specifically. I like some of the other Silent Hills better than 2, but that doesn't change the fact that Silent Hill 2 is a great fucking video game. And it's nice. It is one of the ones done by the original team, so that's cool and nice.
Yeah.
And we love that. Still very much in the process of wiggling sounds around. I apologize. I also was trying to remind myself of how to get the various endings.
I'm here for you, James. See? I'm real.
And the way that you get the various endings is
It's very fiddly, and you gotta look at the photo and
or not look at the
get on low
photo.
health.
You can't. It's not that you can't let her get on low health. It's that you can't bump into her. A certain amount of times. It depends on how often you look at the knife, or the photo, and if you heal up James fast enough or to excess, and on either end of all of those.
Is it James's health that
yeah,
if
James's
you run around on low health a lot, then you're trending towards the in-water ending?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have decided that I don't want to have to fuck around with the internal point system too much. So I'm just gonna do everything. And it'll be a surprise what ending we get. Yeah. We'll stop and stare at the knife a lot. Stop and stare at the picture a lot. We'll bump into Maria a whole bunch. Sometimes I'll heal immediately. Other times I'll just let him suffer. We'll just see where we come out in the end. Yeah. I was gonna shoot for the leave ending, which I think is like the easiest one to get because it's you don't have to look at anything and you just have to keep, you know, James's health up. And just don't bump into Maria and stuff like that. But it's also, I'm just kind of like, but I want to do all the things, and so we'll just get whatever ending we get, and that'll be exciting.
Mary, could you really be in this town?
Oh, and we're playing. All right. Hi. It's been a minute since I've played 2. Is the other thing. James, please. There was a poster in here. I saw it. For heaven's sake, there it is. That lady looks weirdly familiar. I'm sure it won't come back ever. Can't interact with that. That's fine. We find our protagonist. There is a funny bird in there. Find our protagonist in the world's filthiest bathroom?
Yeah. I mean, when you gotta go, you gotta go. It's not great. You don't want to stop in Silent Hill.
No.
You want to keep on driving through. You can stop at the next service station.
No matter how badly you have to pee, you don't have to pee that bad.
I see that town. Silent Hill. You promised you'd take
Put the
me there
content
again
warnings in the
someday.
chat now.
Yeah, it's really
While I'm
heavy.
thinking
Silent
about
Hill.
it.
Well, I'm alone
got
here,
lots of big content warnings.
in
If
our
you have
special
specific
place,
triggers, definitely look at that, because
waiting
it
for me.
gets real serious. Like in the last, like, third?
Yeah, thereabouts. It starts getting more explicit about everything.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of
Envelope.
hints about everything.
Mary, my wife's name. It's ridiculous. Couldn't possibly be true. That's what I keep telling myself. A dead person can't write a letter. Mary died of
Unless.
that damn disease 3 years ago. So then, why am I looking for her? Our special place. What could she mean? This whole town was our special place. Does she mean the park on the lake? We spent the whole day there. Just the 2 of us, staring at the water. Could Mary really be there? Is she really alive? Waiting for me?
Dead wife. We love it. You wanna look at any of this, James? Consider. We got a map of Silent Hill.
Nice.
I have the map for this place. A very bad map. Got some streets, so that's nice. Oh geez. I have to determine if I want to use the analog or D-pad, and I think D-pad is the way to go with tank controls.
Yeah, I see it. Depends how fiddly the sticks are gonna be.
There's a lot of... I move it too fast. I move the analog sticks too quickly for it to really register, and then James just gets confused.
Just as a funny dance.
Yeah. It's fine. I've been playing a lot of games that need the D-pad, so it's not too weird.
first one's a D-pad game.
Yeah.
It's fine. We did that recently.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the PSP has sticks. I know it has.
Listen, we did Origins in a single weekend, and I have already yeeted all of that out of my brain.
It's not good.
Kind of a bad game was Origins.
Yeah.
The only positive it has going for it is that it's so short.
A lot of people give it the benefit of the doubt just because the ones after it were so bad. And it really doesn't deserve it. It's what we learned, I think.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to be nice to Origins just because Homecoming and Downpour exist. It's a bad game.
Just because it's not as egregious as Homecoming or Downpour doesn't mean it's good. Doesn't even mean it's, like, not the worst of the post-Team Silent ones. Oh, where are you going, James?
Yeah, and it is the one where you can argue it's the worst, actually, because it does damage to the actual lore.
Yeah.
Rather than basically taking place on the moon. In a universe where conventional logic does not exist.
Yeah. It will be interesting once we get to Downpour. 'Cause I think I've mentioned it before, like, I haven't played it since it came out. And so, like, you know, just given time, I don't remember a whole bunch about it, aside from the fact that I fucking hated it. And I was very mad. But specifics about it, I don't fucking know what happened. I just know that a cop kept calling us Cupcake a lot.
Horrible.
Excuse me,
I'm sorry. I
No,
was
it's
just...
okay. I didn't mean to scare you. I'm kind of lost.
Lost?
Yeah. I'm looking for Silent Hill. Is this the right way?
Yeah. It's hard to see with this fog, but there's only the one road. You can't miss it.
Thanks.
But
Yes?
I think you'd better stay away. This town, there's something wrong with it. It's kind of hard to explain, but
Is it dangerous?
maybe. And it's not just the fog either.
Okay,
It's...
I got it. I'll be careful.
I'm not lying.
No, I believe you. It's just... I guess I really don't care if it's dangerous or not. I'm going to town either way.
But why?
Powerful question.
I'm looking for someone.
Who is
Afraid
it?
of no fog.
Someone very important to me.
I'd be afraid of
I'd
the
do
fog
anything
just a
if I could
little
be with
bit.
her again.
Me too.
Just a tiny bit, maybe.
I'm looking for my mama. I mean my mother. It's been so long since I've seen her. I thought my father and brother were here, but I can't find them either. I'm sorry. It's not your
No,
problem.
I hope you find them.
Yeah, you too.
Awkwardly turn back around.
What is it?
Oh, nothing. Sure is quiet here, huh?
I guess.
Some
Oh
fun
boy!
Graveyard small talk.
my favorite conversations to have.
Aren't you looking for someone?
That's right.
That's right.
Aren't you looking for someone?
Oh, is that all? Okay.
That's right.
Angela just casually telling us to fuck off. Fine. Oh, hi Farley. Sorry, I had a cat touch my head, and it scared me.
How does he reach?
He's just so dang long. It's the longest boy. There. Also.
Longer than Silver.
So much longer.
Oh no.
Oh look, a photo of Mary. Nope, I wanted to examine. Wife!
That's who we're looking for, squad.
In my restless dreams, I see that town, Silent Hill. He's waiting for
It's
us.
Dialogue from the start.
Yeah. Oh, there it is. Please, camera.
I do think if I were like visiting like a place that was known to be like a ghost town and fog so thick you can't see a hand in front of your face blue, I would take that as a sign from God.
Maybe you shouldn't be here, actually.
Yeah.
It was not meant to be. Truck. Truck. Give James a minute to breathe.
Does he get tired? Does he run out of stamina?
I don't think
Yeah.
so.
I didn't think he did either.
I just like with Harry, I just sometimes like to stop to just give him a moment.
Yeah. I was just worried after the incident.
Yeah.
I didn't remember there being like an actual stamina system in this. Although,
Nah.
does it still like take him longer to catch his breath depending on how low on health he is?
Yep.
This is a purely aesthetic thing, yeah.
I also just keep stopping because I keep hearing footsteps that aren't my own.
That is happening. There are some footsteps. There've been like
that's happening.
animal noises the whole time. We've been
Yeah,
walking
there were
around in the park.
dogs barking earlier. Someone shuffling around now. Sorry, I like seeing James be out of breath.
You don't seem like someone who does a lot of jogging outside this
No.
game. Oh.
It's fine. It's just a load screen.
Shoes.
Whoa. Camera, please. Camera? Okay. I understand. You want me to suffer. I can work with that. Sorry, I also just keep listening to the ambient noises. Just being very happy about it. They're not good noises. Wouldn't like to hear any of these sorts of sounds if I were out walking around, but it's just very good.
It's a very good bad soundscape.
Yeah! I like it. They did a good job.
Yeah.
Come on, James, let's go, buddy. Also, just not a whole bunch to talk about when you first start out. Then, wow, it sure is strange that James wants to, find his dead wife.
Yeah.
think you know where he'd left her. Just generally. You wanna pick up that first aid kit? Good job, buddy.
All we know is we're here because dead wife sent us a letter.
Gotta go say hi to dead wife.
And James is a tall goober. We've already established that from his one attempt at speaking with a human.
James just makes everything weird and awkward for everyone.
James is a horrible, stinky man.
Yeah. You thought Alan was a bad man.
Yeah, James
Oh
is
boy.
my worst.
Blood?
They're the same type of guy, which is really horrible for Alan. But
Yeah.
like, James is way worse. He's a higher level stinky uncle.
Alan has not actually, as far as we know, committed any real crimes thus far. He is just a mediocre white man. I'll say it. It's fine. I mean, at this point, if you don't know what happens in Silent Hill 2, where have you been?
I was wondering if we should talk about the stinky man who killed his wife.
I mean, we can kind of talk about it. I figure we'll do kind of like what we did with 1, where you know the general story. Even if you've never played Silent Hill 2, you kind of know what's going on. We'll leave all the, like, details.
Yeah, that's true. Most people know it's the game with the stinky man who killed his wife, but don't know any of the things that happen in between except the nurses and Pyramid Head.
This is the one. This is the one that has made everyone, devs and movie makers alike, think that Pyramid Head has to show up all the time. Here's the thing. He doesn't.
Absolutely
shouldn't.
doesn't.
In fact, like, probably should not. Sorry.
This is the one that kind of had like the big mainstream success. So it's where when they copy the aesthetics of Silent Hill with no idea what they're actually doing.
This is
the
where they grab from.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey James, do you want to go through the fence? The fence that is open? You want to go through the doorway that we came in through? Thank you, buddy. Sorry. James just wants to be difficult already. And that's not great for anyone, really. Man does have a very funny run.
Does.
Sounds like a nice place over here.
Definitely did not step over that. Fully was.
What do you mean? Yeah, hey, James, you got a guy in there? You got a whole dang dude in there. But let's get him, buddy. It's gonna be so nice not having weapon degradation.
Yeah, we do only get crap weapons, but like they don't break.
James?
Don't even need to look.
Yeah, I'm honest. I was trying to turn him around, and he just said, "Nah, I got this." Get him on the backswing. It's fine. You want to kick it? Nah. Nah, it's dead. Just leaving footprints behind.
Oh, yeah. This thing broken?
in UK?
What's
Jam?
You got jam?
Better take it anyway. I
We
might
got
be
Jam
late.
over here? Like to be able to see where I'm running.
You'll even step us.
Yeah, I have. Kinda love it. James, where are we? Pal, buddy, friend, guy. I don't need to save. Probably.
You should be fine for right now.
Oh. Just a dude.
I do kind of like them. They're kind of horrible.
They're awful, and I love them.
Yeah, they're not very dangerous, but just as like silhouettes wandering in the fog, they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Excuse me. Let's see. Kind of. I don't think I've ever, like, really explored the opening part of Silent Hill 2. We're kind of doing that. Also, it's just a good time to get items.
Yeah. Okay, any health drinks?
I get all of the health drinks. Ooh, he's making this noise. I know, you're seeing a thing over there, James, but this is a dead end, so we're gonna go all the way to the end before we grab things.
Any treasure around?
Oh, God!
That was Squiggler.
Squiggler scared me. I was not prepared for Squiggler.
Still out there, squiggling?
He'll never stop squiggling. They say he's still squiggling to this day.
I'll better leave him to it.
There you go.
Ooh,
That's
a
the
health
thing you were
drink.
looking
They're
at.
so hard to spot.
Yeah. Just gotta
gotta
pay
see if
attention to where
James can
James is
see,
looking.
yeah.
Yeah! James can see it. Then you're all set. I think there's another alley across the way. Yeah. Kind of. Excuse me.
There's a street.
A place to run. See anything cool, James?
That's a health drink.
Yep. Is that noise the squigglers?
I don't know. I don't.
Squiggler? Okay. just curious. But
Don't
He just
remember the
wants-
noises. Don't remember the squigglers, to be honest.
I do remember squigglers. They just like to hang out under the cars all the time, and it's horrible. And they will constantly jump scare you. Oh, excuse me.
Best go down Happy Burger where it's safe. Wait for this to all blow over.
Again, this is a game where you just check your map all the time.
Yeah.
So excuse me while I open up my map. After going a block. Happy Burger, do you have anything for me? Because it'd be lovely if you did. Thank you. We already have 2 first aid kits. And I love that for me. Awful dudes out today.
There's a few.
You have anything? No. I did get the apartment key,
Did.
which is to our left. Straight to the left. Just ambling
Do they have-
about.
Do they have shoes on? They have loud steps.
I think they just got big feet.
Did everyone in town come out with shoes on but no trousers? They got boots on.
Got their
They got big
stomping
old
boots.
Yeah.
My god. I used the apartment gate key. Hooray! And now no one can bother us. Ever. So let's see if there's a thing over here. No. And it's locked.
I think the enemies here I thought were the ones that they were copying in Origins. I honestly can't remember. They're
Yes.
like, yeah, the men who gunk at you, but also hump Travis for some reason.
Yeah, that's that was a choice that they made. We don't have a flashlight yet, and that's a problem for me. Do you have a map of the apartment building? Or excuse me, the apt building. Wanna peek at anyone else's mail? No? Okay. I'll do a little savey save.
It's weird that you kind of build up to them in Origins as well, when like it's not like an iconic design. It's
Yeah.
they're just meant to look kind of cool in the fog. The silhouette's like kind of like a guy in a straitjacket, but then the straitjacket is meat.
Meat jacket.
Just came out wearing meat jacket, no
Meat
trousers,
jacket and
and
stomping
big stomping
boots.
boots.
Wow, I wonder if we have to put something in there. Where? Sounds like he's very close around the corner. Unless he's behind me. No. Okay. You have to hit the man, James. Kick him. Kick him! God, I missed having a stomp. Hey, James? I already skipped the flashlight.
Oh jeez. Can that happen?
I think you get it here in the apartment building. Maybe I'm just being silly. Excuse me, music? I'm pretty sure you get it in a room with like a couple of mannequins. Do you want to do anything with that, James? Or you just want to look at it? Okay. I don't think I'm supposed to be doing this just yet. Looks like you can't open. What in here?
I did look at where the flashlight was, just in case we're gonna miss.
And it is in the apartment building, right?
Yeah, you should
Okay.
be fine.
Okay. I just want to be able to look at my map, but James says it's too dark. It's too dark to read map. You have a
Go
gun
for it.
now, so that's exciting. Well, I would have a gun.
Well, when we get to the checkout,
It
can you not see it? Is it too dark to see gun?
might be too dark to see gun. James,
So, James.
please. James, you can't do this. Oh, you know, it's upstairs. It's on the 3rd floor. We can come back for it later.
Yeah.
Because we have to be up here anyway. So excuse me while I just do things out of order. Slightly. I mean, the game won't let me break sequence. So that's nice. At least not here.
I'll try not to.
James is blind. It's too dark. I mean, I kind of get it, buddy, but also I think you can see.
Maybe he's got
stand
fog in his
here.
eyes from when he were running around outside.
I stand under the light. I can look at my map. Not the fog in the eyes. Sorry. It took me a second to, like, process that. Locked, and there's not a door there. It's too dark to read my map.
Slightly suspicious wall.
201 just doesn't exist. Oh boy. Nope. That's not a door.
There are a lot of locks that is broken. But we don't have to go through the area once in normal world and once in dark world. That's right.
Mm-hmm. And even
We
if you
can't
did...
switch between them to try and find doors that need fiddling with.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't know, like, I... Generally, from what I remember, except maybe the prison, a lot of the rooms, or, like, a lot of the locations have, like, a good number of rooms, but not too many. Like, there's enough that you're like, yeah, this place feels filled out, but it's not like, oh god, I have, like, 20 doors on this one floor that I have to do.
Yeah.
We appreciate that. Okay, alright. James, look at that. It's too dark to see, never mind.
Fuck. I can't see that clock.
Just want to get my flashlight. Please.
I think it's supposed to be in that room.
In the one that I was just in?
I thought so.
But it wasn't. It's fine. We'll find it. We have other rooms that we have to check.
Yeah. Oh, never mind. No, yeah, you can't miss it. It's fine.
In fact, we have found it. It's in this outfit.
Yeah.
Lady outfit. Excuse me.
New enemy.
Horrible mannequins. Just legs on legs.
Leg mannequin.
Look at it. He just, like, stomps and then, like works his
wiggles.
heel in
Yeah.
there. My god, James.
He like stomps and then he wipes the blood off.
Got some pent up aggression, buddy? You doing okay? You need to talk to someone? Where? I can check my map anywhere now, and I love that for me. Not... No, there's no door there. I understand. We haven't checked that hall, so let's do that now. No! Like something other than our plank of wood.
Yeah, plank of
That'd be
wood's
nice.
rubbish.
Yeah. Like, give me
I
a
don't
steel pipe or something.
I don't remember like any weapons in this game being like good.
I mean...
That is kind of cool.
Just standing there. James!
James. At least he just decided to wiggle at you.
Right? But
It's a boat.
that oh, hi. Can't hide in the closet like that. It's rude.
Like Mannequin, by the way, is like absolutely no more dangerous than the other guys, if not less dangerous, because they don't do weird kind of AoEs that it's not entirely obvious where they hit him.
They just kick.
They just kick.
Do little leg kickies. Take your pick of which legs.
Yeah, it's legs all the way around.
When they
Legs
say
on both.
legs for days, this is not what they meant. Nothing in the kitchen. Okay. Get me out of here. Alright. Let's fucking go. Probably go back upstairs to get the gun. But it can wait.
We'll be fine for now.
Gonna beat some things with a bit of wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, stomps. Why did Origins get rid of the stomps? They're so good.
I don't know.
I mean, like, it had stomps, but they weren't
They
good.
were like weapon-specific, like takedowns for no reason that like didn't need
Yeah.
to exist or be animated, and sometimes used up your bullets if you had a gun out,
Yeah.
and also they
Oh.
didn't work well. And also
Was-
the stomp is just very satisfying.
Right? We need to go into 205 to do the clock, but I'm gonna go upstairs and get that gun while I'm thinking about it. I don't think we can miss it, but there might be. I think there's a cool thing upstairs as well. No, it's in the hallway that's here. Never mind. I'm an idiot. Might not be here now. It's fine. Let me just be as vague as possible about everything that's happening.
It's fine.
Yeah, no, it's not here yet. It's fine. At one point, when you're walking down
ain't
the
gonna-
hallway, you can see Pyramid Head.
Yeah.
Red pyramid thing just standing there, menacingly. It's fine.
Does
We'll
turn
see it.
up.
We'll get to see the boy. It's gonna be great. Wait. This is not the correct room. Clock is in 208. It's marked by the clock, the clock face.
Well, I thought we were in 205 when we were in 208, so I'm gonna say that's vindication right there.
Listen, I'm full of soup. My brain is thinking in soup terms. I don't know how to do nothing but think about soup right now. Sorry, we are gonna go upstairs and get the thing.
It's that guy with a head full of soup yesterday, and you're just like, I want to be that.
I was very inspired by Cousin Miso. I like the slight, not music change because there was no music before, but I like the slow introduction of music once you get up to the top floor. It's just neat. Before we do that, now that we can see, hey James. Silent Hill 2 soundtrack, very good.
Yeah, no one's like ever tried to do music in a horror game as well as Team Silent did.
They just don't understand other people, that is, that you need Akira Yamaoka, but you just need to, like, put him in a room with a bunch of, like, pots and pans and chains and, like, you know, power tools, and let him just
Yeah.
go buck wild.
Don't let him have any instruments.
Yeah.
Just objects.
Exactly.
I mean, they're like obviously incredibly talented, but I also think just the way that the games use music in general is always just been amazing. If it were just the music tracks, it wouldn't be as good as like the way they slowly layer them up.
James, you have a bit of wood.
Ow!
Fine.
Hey, wait! Damn it.
Owned.
Doesn't she call us a fart face at one point?
Fair? Valid?
Who is that kid? She's not wrong. James is kind of a fart face. Consider a fart face. I also just generally think, sorry, I'm thinking about music. I think that, like, there's too much focus on making the music musical and not enough focus on it just being industrial noise. I think we should be hiring more industrial artists. Excuse me? What was that? Be hiring more industrial artists to be doing
That
our
sounds good
horror
for just
soundtracks.
video games in general, but specifically horror also. Oh, hey.
Yeah. Weird. Who's that guy?
He's red.
Very red. And he's a pyramid thing. Why did it take him so long to realize? Who could've?
Who could've? It's not like the first cops we've seen just lying around. Come on, James.
Right? Writing on the clock. Scars from the past shall remove the nail that stops time. Yeah? I mean, I don't think it's gonna do anything just yet. Yeah. Gotta mess with the clock face. No matter how hard I push, it won't move. Clock is stopped at 0:16 and 15 seconds. Faceplate is closed. It's locked. I can't touch the needles of the clock like this. Consider.
Smash it with a bit of wood. Like the one you're holding.
What's this? Henry Mildred Scott?
HMS?
What could it mean?
I have forgot like all the puzzles from this one.
Dang. Well, it's gonna be very interesting then. 202. Let's go. I can remember a lot of like the setups for the puzzles, but remembering the solutions is gonna be weird. There is one specifically, I think, in the prison that I tend to have a hard time with. And it's the like trying to find the person who's like actually committed the crime.
Right.
But that's because there's bodies in one room and then the solution in the other room, and I get lost. I have a hard time parsing what's happening when it's in two separate rooms.
Mhm.
But that's why we have notepads. Give me that health drink. I mean, it's just very red there. Okay. That's fine, James. You do whatever you want to do, bud. A hole in the wall. You know what we do with holes in walls.
Look in him and do weird breathing.
Shove
Oh, is
hand,
that what we
shove
do?
hand in hole.
James does put his hand in a lot of places where he probably shouldn't put his hand in.
Consider James don't put hand in hole. Unlike Travis, does not look through holes and breathe funny. He's a pervert, but not like that. We got the clock key. James is a freak. Derogatory.
James is real bad.
Yeah. Not a good man. Have to go back to clock room. Because we got clock key. Oh, listen. James is being my upstairs neighbors. Alright, buddy.
James is bad in like
So many very strange and specific ways.
like if he was your neighbor, you would never want to talk to him. But you wouldn't assume that he'd killed his wife, but if someone told you that he had, it
You'd
wouldn't
be like, yeah, that tracks.
surprising. Yeah. It's like very like normal bad. Just gross.
Bad guy who thinks he's owed everything.
Yeah.
Entitled, I think is probably the best.
Yeah. Middle class white guy bad.
Yeah. Can't use that here. Is it because I'm not facing it perfectly? Oops, wrong button. It's because I wasn't facing it perfectly, I understand. I should probably do it this way. This would be faster. It was like, what, 10:05?
I can't remember.
10:10 or so.
A hand, though.
Are we?
Can we move the second end, or is that just always still?
Second is always at 15.
I forgot to remember where the 10s went.
Oh, there it is.
Hey.
It's okay. That's why we were staring at it for a minute. Because I was drawing down the hands.
That's why I didn't bother paying attention.
The
names
the
on
points.
the wall were. Yeah.
Sorry, don't go for it.
Just the names on the walls were where the hands were supposed to be, and I can't remember the names, but they were HMS for hour, minute, second.
Henry Mildred Scott.
There you go.
But yeah, no, the direction that they were pointing in was vague enough that I was like, I don't know if this is 9 or 10, but it's one of those two.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Yeah, go in here.
So it's a click when you got it right.
Yeah. Health drink. Let's do just a quick little savey save. And away we go. Where are we? Just on the other side. Excuse me? Hello?
Oh. Oh dear. Is
Sorry.
it Kermit?
It's Farley being a weirdo. I don't know, the way that he like moved in the living room, like I could hear it past my headphones, and it sounded like somebody that was like walking around out there, and I got a little scared. Understandably. My door is locked. No one should be in my house.
They stomped too hard upstairs and now they've come down.
Oh my god. I am just like waiting for the day that like, I don't know, like some cracks show in my ceiling or something from how hard they stomp.
Someone's leg comes through.
Yeah. Horrible. Handgun bullets. Generally, we'll probably save the handgun for boss fights until we get a better gun. And then we'll use handgun for normal combat.
Makes sense. Don't get as many bullets as Harry does, I think.
Yeah, it's gotta be a little more sparing with them. And I don't think we get...
Also, the enemies are generally way easier to kill just by hitting them with a stick.
Yeah. I also don't think we get, like, a new gun until after our first big encounter. Sorry, the way that it takes him that long to realize what's happening.
So far into the room. He does have fucking his dang eyes.
Those wiggles, though! To be fair, while Pyramid Head knew he was in there, didn't seem like he was coming in for you, James. Just saying. Kind of just minding his own business out there. But also, give me that courtyard key. Somebody's killed them.
Who would do something like this to those poor innocent leg monsters?
Who indeed?
They did obviously like see this scene when they were making Origins and not get that like the fact that like Pyramid Head's strong enough to kill like 2 leg people isn't the point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's not what they're trying to convey here. It's not what that's not the message that they're trying to send. We know Pyramid Head can do that. He can do lots of things.
You know, James can do that. Why would we care that Pyramid Head has killed 2 leg people?
What kind of a monster would do this, though? Hold on. Okay, yeah, that door doesn't exist. Excuse me. Wanna pick up the key? No, we gotta kill the monster first. Okay, I understand. Excuse you! Yeah, it was horrible. I appreciate that it's like some horrible mist and not super obviously vomit. Like it was in Origins.
Yes.
Like, I mean, you can assume that's what it is, and that's fine, but it doesn't register that way, which I appreciate. I personally don't want to be vomited on. So, you know. What are you looking at, James?
It's just like green steam.
Assumably, some kind of acid. It's just a
Yeah.
normal washing machine. Do you wanna... Can't do anything with that. Understood. Oh god. Where?
That's it.
Fuck. James really likes to take his time without wind up.
Yeah.
Wanna stomp on him? Wanna stomp on the boy? No, he does not.
James is not good at doing a fight.
No. Not really surprised about it either, but you know, it's fine.
If he had like a pillow and they were lying down, he's got experience with that.
Someone who's in a vulnerable state
Yeah.
can't really fight back.
If they were
Easy
already
peasy.
dying.
James, you're a bad man. Handgun bullets. Anything else in here? No. Understood. This is the wrong room. Phone doesn't seem to work. Anything in here? I almost missed a health drink.
He does.
Ah! Rude!
So, just camping out there.
James!
If he swings and misses as well, it's like 5 minutes, and you can't tell him to stop and leave.
It's horrible! He just stands there and contemplates what he's done. Like, James, you missed. That's all you need to know, bud.
Made a horrible mistake. Has to reflect on it.
Can't believe I've done this. I can't believe I've done this. Alright. What do we got? What's over here? New weapon, maybe? Probably not. You will see me try and open things twice. It's not because I'm actually trying to open it twice. It's because I'm trying to exit out of the message, but it's disappeared before before I hit
I
X.
do that in things.
I will always forget that the message will clear itself out. And so I will just keep hitting X. Canned juice? I was getting
Ooh.
thirsty. Perfect. Gonna crack open a room temp one with the boys. Boys are the
Yeah.
monsters.
Oh, no. I don't think any of them have mouths so far.
Well, they have the holes.
Oh no.
But I mean, the ones that spit stuff at us, that's a mouth, right?
Okay.
Functions as mouth. Just pour it in there for him.
Secretes an acid cloud through his paws. Just pour the juice into his paws.
Horrible. Ooh. Okay. So yeah, we have canned juice. What do we do with this? Where could we possibly use juice?
Use juice on head. Imbibe juice.
Think juice.
Put Capri Sun in mouth.
What is up with Koyama. Koyama made these games, right? What is up
Yeah.
with this guy? And putting things in like, trash chutes. we have the juice here, and then we got the EKG machine
EKG
in
machine's
Siren. Is this like a thing that he's needed to do multiple times in his life, that he just thinks this is normal?
To defend his home from the wet bandits. By jumping an EKG machine down the garbage disposal. It was the only way.
My god. Garbage bag is torn and the contents are strewn all over. We got the old man coin. Some gossip magazine? Police announced today that Walter Sullivan, who was arrested on the 18th of this month for the brutal murder of Billy Locane and his sister Miriam, committed suicide in his jail cell early on the morning of the 22nd. According to the police statement, Sullivan used a soup spoon to stab himself in the neck, severing his carotid artery. By the time the guard discovered him, Sullivan was dead from blood loss, the spoon buried 2 inches in his neck. An old schoolmate to Walter Sullivan's from his hometown of Pleasant River said, "He didn't look like the type of guy who would kill kids." But I do remember that just before they arrested him, he was blurting out all sorts of strange stuff like, "He's trying to kill me! He's trying to punish me! The monster! The red devil! Forgive me! I did it, but it wasn't me." Schoolmate then added, "Guess now that I think of it, he was kind of crazy."
Sullivan, the guy who Thor's kind of about.
Yeah. We
Yeah.
get to learn all about Walter in 4.
Yeah.
So that's cool.
It kind of makes it sound like Pyramid Head told him to kill kids.
No.
For anyone who's watching this who's a developer for like an upcoming Silent Hill game, that's not he did it. He did the crimes on his own. It wasn't Pyramid Head.
There was cult influence,
Yeah.
but it wasn't Pyramid Head.
And he was into it, right? He liked that shit.
It seemed like it, yeah. He was all for it.
I meant the cult stuff, but I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was all there for the cult stuff and just sort of was like, "Yeah, if this is what you want me to do, I guess this is what I gotta do."
Yeah. I can do a few murders.
Not a problem. I got you, fam.
Said like the events of Silent Hill 1 probably the most important thing that like to outwardly to like things that would have made the news. It's probably like the main thing, but to be honest, just Walter Sullivan existing is probably the main thing.
Yeah.
More so than everything that happens in Silent Hill 1.
No, you're supposed to sit down.
If you've heard of Silent Hill in this world, it's like I went there as a kid once, or isn't that where that guy who killed all those kids was from?
Yeah. Listen, it's Tiny Town. Doesn't get talked about much anymore. Anyone who used to come here normally, like all of the time, probably dead by now. No, I walked right into that. I need to heal, probably. Does not want to stomp, he just wants those bullets. Give me those bullets. Oh, yikes. That's fine.
Dang. You got pretty gooped?
well, I did get gooped a couple of times in the hallway too, and was gooped in here. It's just a lot of goop going on. It is very funny to me that these apartments are like, you know, pretty decent size, and then the kitchen is like 2 feet big.
Yeah.
Like you could have taken a little bit of a room off of the other rooms just to, you know, be able to fit into the kitchen. What do I know though? Couldn't unlock that door. Okay. I know what's happening. Don't worry about it.
Someone's having gastric distress over there.
Oh, please. Sir, can you stop?
So, those are bad sounds. That's a butt.
Eddie, put that away. Pwah, pwah, pwah.
It wasn't me. I didn't
Those are
think
some, like,
Do what?
distressingly accurate throwing up sounds.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No.
My name's James.
Like, actively makes my
James.
tummy upset.
Oh.
Eddie, who's that dead guy in the kitchen?
Blah, 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 blah.
I swear I didn't kill anybody.
Wait, there's a dead guy in the
Friends
kitchen?
with that red pyramid thing, are you?
Red pyramid thing. I don't know what you're talking about. Honest. But I did see some weird looking monsters. They scared the hell out of me, so I ran in here.
Well, this place isn't too safe either. What happened here anyway?
I told you.
There's a couple of the noises that he makes that are just very funny to me.
I just.
And then all the others are just very upsetting.
You too, huh? Something just brought you here, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Somebody get this boy a toothbrush
Whatever it is,
and some
I think
mouthwash.
you better get out of here soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. What about you?
I'll leave as soon as I'm done here. Eddie, be careful.
James,
Blah, 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 blah.
Eddie, be careful.
Eddie, please. Oh, I guess there is a dead guy in here. See his tootsies. Don't put the
I
dead
didn't
guy
know
in
nothing
there.
about it.
He definitely did not kill him.
He said so.
I didn't kill him. I did not. Okay. There's one more door in the courtyard that we need to check out. Excuse me. Made too many funny noises. And now my throat is very upset at me. You wanna... No, you don't. Okay. Alright, that's cool, James.
I
There
think
we
it's
go.
important to, like, the Silent Hills. The monsters don't really want anybody to do anything. They're just out here doing crimes. They're having a good time.
Nope.
Monsters don't really have an opinion on like if you should do
Fuck!
murders on kids or not.
Yeah, they're just
They're
sort
just
of
vibing.
here.
It's all of the like really heinous stuff that's happened. It starts and is continued by people who are making the conscious decision to be terrible. The monsters is just monsters.
Monsters are like animals. They're just kind of functioning on instinct. Generally, just kind of doing whatever. They're not perpetuating crimes. I have 2 coins. Have I found where I need to put those coins yet? I don't think I have. I should have. This is a problem. I am stuck.
Even like initially, like trying to bring the like demon into Silent Hill, like, it didn't seem like he wants that. Like,
No.
you know he'll kill you if you do it.
Listen, he was happy, just vibing in his own plane of existence, and
Yeah,
and then he plucked him out of there, and he's like, "Hey, the fuck."
it's
And-
very clear about if you do this, I will kill you and also everyone else.
Yeah. But maybe that's what they wanted.
It's a big decision to make for a lot of people.
I mean, politicians do it all the time.
That's true. Oh, it's so many demons.
Okay. Not in here. That's a shame. Sometimes you just gotta summon a demon, you know?
Sometimes.
Listen. There should be a desk somewhere. Or like a cabinet of sorts that I can put these coins into. And I have not come across them yet. That's... Please.
Oh, hey. It's Ed.
Are you still here?
No, James. He's left.
I'll be okay soon.
You should get out of this town when you can.
Yeah, I know, but
You know, but...
Are you still here?
yeah.
Still here.
Okay. Okay. I can skip. Didn't realize that there was a room in here. Okay.
It's got a
Cool.
football poster.
It does. Okay, so what we're looking for is not in here. Maybe it's back on the 3rd floor of the main apartment building. Trying to remember things, and it's not going well. But that's okay. We can just wander around a little bit. Take in the sights. See the fog. Oh boy, sure is fog. Let's see.
I know where it is. How many coin we got?
2?
Okay.
I know that there are like multiple coins that need to be got. Might need like one more. Again, this is one of those puzzles that it's like I vaguely remember, And I think it's similar to the, like, piano keys, but is a little more straightforward. Because you just have to put the coins in the proper slot. And the riddle isn't, like, too nonsensical. Ooh,
I figure I should, like, look it up and just have the information ready where stuff is, just in case.
Makes sense.
I don't want to, like, jump in and start backseating.
I mean, this is Silent Hill. We gotta wander around a whole bunch, miss a couple of things, and then backtrack a whole bunch as well. I'm pretty sure I've just walked past it and I, like, didn't interact with it, so it didn't mark it. Which, you know.
That's the worst.
Yeah, but that's a me issue. I did that to myself.
Yeah.
Excuse me? Excuse me?
Someone's mad.
Yeah, it's me. Oh, wait, no, this is the whole room. The room with hole.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why the music is going hog wild, but, you know, it is.
It's because you press more than 4 buttons in the elevator.
Oh, can I unlock that? Are you unlockable now? Probably not. Oh!
Hey! That's lovely.
Where did I get the fire escape key from? Okay, thing is gonna be in the next building. There's no fire escape outside the door! Maybe they knocked it down when they built the building next door? They can't get into the building next door if I go through the window in front of me. Do it. I think this is more than just a think. You absolutely can, James. That's not that far of a gap. So good job, buddy. This is why having, like, a good map marking convention is great. Straight red lines means that it's locked. Squiggles means that you're not gonna be able to go through it.
Yeah.
New hole unlocked.
Oh no.
There's something in there.
This boy
The fact that
see a hole and not put his hand in it.
And he doesn't even roll up his sleeve. I mean, it's bad enough
Yeah,
he's
that's
sticking his
insane.
hand in a dirty toilet, but, like, he's not even pulling the sleeve of his jacket up, so that's just gonna be damp forever now. And stinky and horrible.
He's carrying that horrible toilet gunk with him.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I was writing that down. Which is why we're staring at it for a long time. Just, James, you're disgusting. You're horrible and disgusting. Why are you like this? What are you looking at? That's a safe. Huh, I wonder what the combination is. 2, 3... 16... 5? No, I think I did that the wrong way. Okay.
I don't remember, because I thought you'd write it down, so I did not bother committing it to memory.
2, 3, 16, 5 is the code, but I think I just, like, did them in the wrong...
You wiggled them around the wrong way?
Yeah. 2... 3... 16... 5, yeah.
Oh, lovely.
That is a completely optional thing, because who the fuck would put their hand in a dirty toilet? It's me.
James Sunderland.
I don't have a map of this area. Oh, thanks. Cool. Great. That one definitely does not help. James is a dirty, stinky boy. Why do you attack so fast sometimes? Grind our heel into his head. Love that. Excuse me. I'm just gonna cough for forever, 'cause it's very dry and I need to get a new humidifier.
Oh, jeez.
Always something. Dear Tim, I have to run an errand, so I'm going out. I left the house key with Uncle David. You know where he lives, don't you? He is in the room near the first floor staircase. Be back as soon as I can, so please watch the place while I'm gone.
I'm sure if you were in a fight or if it's just more intense in this building.
A little bit of both. Radio wasn't going off until now.
It don't when they're not moving.
Yeah.
And I think it like broke a little bit when you just came up and started hitting them rather than being fooled.
Listen, I'm not rushing. I'm taking my time. I don't have the map for this area. Literally after I hit the triangle button, I remembered. Well,
Have the map for this area.
anything cool in here? Any juice cans I can shove down the chute? Not today.
Oh, it's
We've already done that. I said the key was down at the first floor. Oop. Wanna... No, he does not.
We are in the deck wall department now, right?
No, I think we're just in the apartment building that's next door. No Dark World stuff yet. Ooh. Huh? Okay. I should probably heal up.
It is that squeaking thing from outside.
Yeah.
Don't know what's causing it, but same noise.
It's roaches.
Horrible.
So I'm skitter away.
Squeaking roaches.
The worst kind. It's not true. All roaches are horrible.
Probably would be worse if they squeaked as well as all the other things that they do that are horrible.
Yeah.
Like they constantly made like
Stuffed animal probably belonged to the kid that used to live here. At least he'd be able to locate them.
that's true.
Eradicate them. Still be horrible. Wouldn't recommend. None roaches, please. Oh, what's happening?
Uh-oh. Is the cutscene playing?
Nope.
I mean, does it think it is?
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Oh.
It just needed to think really hard.
Oh, it's you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm James.
Angela.
Angela, okay. I don't know what you're planning, but there's always another way.
Really? But you're the same as me. It's easier just to run. Besides, as what we deserve.
No, I'm not like you.
You afraid? I'm sorry.
It's okay. Did you find your mother?
Not yet. She's not anywhere.
Did she live in this apartment building?
I don't know.
So, all you know is she lived in this town.
What did you say? How do you know that?
Well, I just figured, 'cause this is where you're looking for her. How else would I know?
Yeah,
Am I right?
I'm so tired.
So, why did you come to this town anyway?
I'm sorry. Did you find the person you're looking for?
Not yet. Her name's Mary. She's my wife.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. Anyway, she's dead. I don't know why I think she's here.
She's dead?
Don't worry. I'm not crazy. At least, I don't think so.
I've got to find my mama.
Should I go with you? This town's dangerous. Now I know what you meant back there in the cemetery.
I'll be okay by myself. Besides, I'd just slow you down.
What about that?
Will you hold it for me?
Sure. No problem.
If I kept it, I'm not sure what I might do.
Valid response.
I'm sorry. I'd be bad. Please don't.
I got the prisoner coin. I do like that after James is like, oh, you know, I'm looking for my wife. She's dead. Angela's just like, oh, I have to go now. Sorry, I left my oven on. It's time for me to leave, actually. Do I have a map yet? No. Ugh. Why door look like that?
It's a bad door.
I can hear a roach getting close. There it was.
Oh yeah. Got your heel.
Please. Please. Stop! I just want to not die, please.
I don't think the roaches do like real damage.
No, but
Very
just
annoying.
in case. Roach!
Being dashing around over there.
Right? busy grabbing my ankles.
Oh, it's too fast. It takes James like 10 minutes to build up the gumption for a swing.
Yeah. I want to see if I missed the map out here. This is ridiculous. There it is. I did. I missed the map.
Oh heck.
But it's fine. We got it. We can see where we've been, where everything is. We love that for us. I haven't gotten the key for 209 yet. And that's fine. And there's nothing up here. Okay.
There's trash.
I love garbage.
Yeah.
Now that we're down here, I did miss a lot of rooms. Okay. To be fair,
Two right across from you.
yeah. At least they're close.
I was wondering if they like didn't have doors, but no.
There
We were just busy. There was a
were-
roach going hog wild.
Yeah, listen, there were a couple of roaches in there. Ooh, safe spot. There were some monsters. I was very lost. Just generally because I didn't have a map that I could consult every 2 seconds. So it was a whole thing. I think I did pretty okay, all things considered. Didn't miss that many rooms. Hey! Look what we found.
Hey.
Something written on the desk. 3 bright coins and 5 holes to one end. It's the seducer of she. So a snack. The wind from behind the woman doth play. Formless one, no, lies furthest from they. The old one beside the serpent sits not. 'Tis to the prisoner's left that he doth rot.
Snake way at one end. I think I have the riddle up here actually as well.
That would be delightful because this is a lot to remember.
3 bright coins
Oh.
and 5 holes B. At one end sits the seducer of she. Yeah, that's gotta be the snake.
Right?
Wind from behind the woman doth play. The formless one null lies furthest from there.
Okay,
so at one end is snake, at other end is formless one. And then I think the other one's next to that.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Silver Sun Knight.
How's it going? Hello. Sorry, I was busy looking at a riddle. How are you doing? I am puzzling and full of soup. I've already forgotten which one I picked. I think this was a snake. Yeah. Okay. Great. Glad you're doing well. I didn't need to click in here. Actually, I don't want to take any out, actually. Thank you. Old man's furthest away from Snake, right? It's on the other end.
Think so?
Okay. And then the prisoner.
Oh no, the prisoner's the furthest one away, and then the old man's next to him, I think. Actually, the formless one could just mean an empty space. No, it can't do, right? I don't know what the formless one's about. But the
He just
old man is to the left of the prisoner.
Okay. Oh, excuse me?
The last one is the old one beside the serpent sits not. 'Tis to the prisoner's left that he doth rot.
Okay. Yeah, so he'll be right next to the boy. We good?
Apparently not.
So maybe Snake goes on the right,
Yeah, and
then Prisoner followed by Old Man
yeah,
on the left-hand side.
yeah. Old Man would be in the corner because he.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Snake?
The formless one null lies furthest from there could mean an empty space. The more I look at it.
Can you read the whole thing again?
3 bright coins in 5 holes be. At one end sits the seducer if she. The wind from behind the woman doth play. The formless one, null, lies furthest from there. The old one beside the serpent sits not. 'Tis to the prisoner's left that he doth rot.
Okay, yeah, so I think it's open spot, Old Man, Prisoner, open spot, Snake.
Yeah, that makes sense.
We'll see. We'll see.
The formless one, null, probably isn't a prisoner or an old man.
Probably. Hey! We got the warehouse key. Perfect.
It's very handy to just have the riddle available.
Well, that's the thing. It's like once you put coins into the cabinet, like you can't look at the riddle anymore. And it's like, well, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And I think that's one reason why I remember having a lot of issues with that one.
Also, on all the difficulties, you get a different one, which is just cool.
Yeah. I do appreciate the fact that at least the original Silent Hills have like the regular game yeah. It's nice. It's appreciated. I like it.
The solution, I think, is different too for
Yeah.
all of those. I guess just so you can't remember the one from normal.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's a nice way to. Excuse me? Did I stomp
Oh,
it?
you stomped him.
I didn't mean to. I was just trying to open a door.
Well, he's stomped now.
Good riddance. Excuse me.
No one's stomping that guy.
When you go back downstairs, that's where the key should be, right? Okay, we are on the first floor. I think I'll read that note again real quick. Because I thought it said it was first floor stairs. Which I kind of looked at. I already looked at that. Oh, never mind. We got it. Hello? Why did I think the faucet was a hammer? I just really want a different weapon.
Yeah, bought a plank. Sorry,
yeah.
plank.
Well, Plank should consider being better. Do better, Plank. What are you looking at, James? I see you looking at the thing. You're looking at bullets. Pick up those bullets, buddy. How many bullets do we have? Also, I do see that thing on the bed. But... oh, shit!
Oh, maybe we got a decent amount of bullets.
I'll still stick with this for right now, just because I'm scared.
We just really haven't met anyone that we need bullets for.
Yeah, a lot of the guys thus far have been stickable.
Yeah.
We can use a stick on them. Got apartment stairway key. James, there's still a thing there. What? Pain is displayed here. There's nothing particularly interesting. There's a note on the bed, and James does not give a shit.
that even allowed? Is that even legal? What have you done,
Do
Jim?
this. We did just save, so I'm not gonna worry about it right now. But we should be able to unlock the stairwell to our left. And that's exciting, I think. Are we already through the apartment?
I think, yeah.
Excuse me.
Oh dear.
And this is why I wanted to save our bullets. I don't remember if this is a timed section or if I do have to do a certain amount of damage. I think it's a bit of both.
Not that bothered by being shot with gun, huh?
Not particularly.
I mean, to be fair, I think James should like aim for not
The head. It's Dead Space rules, buddy.
Shoot for anything that's not made of metal. Oh god.
Yeah, he's got some reach.
James was shot over his head twice. I'm outraged. How do you miss this guy? He's making no effort to dodge. James, please. I thought you could just like leave, but I don't remember.
No, there's so the way that you need to leave is through here. Gotta go down there, but it's full of water.
Hey, I didn't see that.
Oh god. And if you get too close to his back, he will hit you with the knife. If you're not 10 million miles away from his front, he'll hit you with the knife. And I think it is an instant kill.
I thought it were an instant kill. There's a bit where he chases you through like a maze later, right?
Yes.
That's all I remembered, I think. He definitely instant kills his ass.
There we go. Fuck!
Hey, it's an instant kill.
Right as it ended, too!
Yeah.
I thought he turned at the last second, and I wasn't ready for that.
The siren went off and you thought you were safe.
Yeah, well, I was still running, and I thought that I could continue to run, and he said, no. It's like, oh, okay. He was demonstrating
where
for
he,
us.
Like, called his shot.
Yeah.
I think the save were right before we picked up the key.
I think so, yeah.
I was just worried we'd forget it.
Can't leave without it.
Cool.
Oh my god, James, please. Because the stairwell that we have to go through is the one that unlocks.
Yeah, we could go all the way to it and then be confused.
Yeah, fortunately it's not that far away. Fortunately.
Yeah. I saw that stat.
No, you didn't. I'm genuinely still just scared that my emulator's gonna crash on me. It hasn't done it, except for with Sly, but it might.
The
also,
Wanderer
Wanderer!
123
Welcome
is
in!
raiding with a party of 6.
Hey!
Kaysh and the gang
We're
welcome
talking
you.
to a boy pyramid head over here.
Let me pause for a hot second. How's it going? How are you doing? How was Sea of Thieves? Definitely a different vibe over here. Welcome in, friends. My name is Kayshurrr. You can call me Kaysh. I'm a queer horror streamer. We like to play scary stuff over here. I'm streaming with my friend FruitySpruce. And we're slowly but surely working our way through every single Silent Hill game that has ever existed and is accessible to play.
I've done
Currently,
2 of them.
we have done 2 of them. We got through the first one, and we did Origins, and Origins was bad. Would not recommend. But we are doing Silent Hill 2. It's a good fun time, except when it's not. So, because we do horror games, we like to offer content warnings for everything that we do. If you need those, they are there in chat. Oh, they already popped up automatically. That's fine. If you ever if you are gonna hang out with us and you do ever need to see the content warnings, exclamation point CW will pull that up. Yeah, we're we are kind of fighting Pyramid Head at the moment. It's a lot. I'm glad that Sea of Thieves was fun. I'm glad the stream went well. Glad that you're here. Welcome on in. You've probably been streaming for a while though. If you or anyone that's come over on the raid needs to take a break, please feel free to do so. We'll probably be streaming for a bit longer now. So if you want to come back and hang out, you're more than welcome to. But it is very important to us that you take care of your dang self. Sorry, I talked very fast and now I have the hiccups.
Oh, no.
Like you do. But yeah, again, thank you, Wanderer, for bringing your friends over. I really, really appreciate it. Long time no see. How you doing? Oh god. Ooh. I am also a big fan of the original Silent Hills.
Yeah. I imagine if it's a Silent Hill fan, the beginner, at least this one.
Right? But yeah, we kind of just like, oh god, he's gonna hit me, never mind. No, he's not. It's hard to see where he is and what he's doing as far as a wind-up is concerned sometimes.
He does do a good job of making sure that you see it, but you do always worry that you're not gonna see it.
Yeah.
I can't believe James is missing this man.
Hold on. I want to say this is a timed situation, so I might just stop shooting.
Huh? It's a bold strategy, Con.
I just don't want to waste my bullets if I don't have to.
That's fair. You do have like 100 bullets still.
Yeah.
Get to rise a couple.
But I've gone through 30 already.
That's fair.
But yeah, we're fans of Silent Hill here. I just got it in me not too long ago that I was like, I haven't played all of the newer Silent Hills, just because I did my time. I played enough of them, and I was like, these are all bad and horrible. But I was like, you know what? Maybe it's time that like I specifically play all of the games that I can, just so I can be like, this is objectively why these ones are bad. And then I, you know, messaged Ferdy and was like, hey, do you want to do this like weird thing with me? Because, you know, it's more fun when you rope your friends into these kinds of things.
Kesh had a spreadsheet. Great.
Still got it. Good times.
He might be timed, but he might also like need you to finish him off by shooting him.
Yeah. Do a couple of shots here and there.
Yeah.
I just don't. There we go.
Hey.
And while we're here, we'll just reload. And actually, just swap back over to stick. I want to see him go away, but I'm scared he's gonna hit me.
I think
'Cause
you're
he-
good to like just watch him. I don't think he'll hit you even if you like bump into him now.
No, he will.
Okay.
He absolutely will. That is what happened to me the first couple of
no.
times that not the first couple of times. Like when I first played this game, he killed me a whole bunch during this section because I was scared, and it's a tight space and there's a whole lot going on. And then once I got to the point where like I did like defeat him or whatever, and he was leaving, I got a little too close, and he turned around and he said, "Fuck you." And then I had to do it again, and I was very sad.
Horrible.
Also,
Oh,
not
okay,
not
yeah.
a yeah, not a problem at all. Like I said, like if you gotta go take a break, get some food, do a stretch, whatever, please do. It is important that you eat. But like I said, I do appreciate you raiding over, bringing your friends here. And I hope you enjoy your food. It's food time. And that's the apartment done. Hey.
Nice.
All right. And if we were playing Origins, we'd just be like, okay, that's stream for today. We got through a section. But I'm down to play a
We
little
beat
bit more.
Origins in two.
Yeah. I was very glad that we
You
we
put in
got
the
it
work.
done.
You resisted the urge to say, okay, we're done after we did anything.
But I wanted to. There were only like 4 places, weren't there? Like really.
Yeah, there were very few areas. They
It's
just had lots of doors.
There were so many doors. was not good. Ugh. We'll try not to die. That's for sure. No promises on not actually dying, but you know.
You! It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who stepped on my hand.
I don't know. Maybe I did.
What's a little girl like you doing here, anyway?
Huh? Are you blind or something?
What's that letter?
None of your business. You didn't love Mary anyway.
Wait! How do you know Mary's name?
Bye.
James, stop interacting with this child. He's just gonna get armed again. They don't want to talk to you, and you're just gonna get armed again.
Laura's savage.
Yeah.
Rosewater Park. So this is that park. Mary, are you here? Alright. Mary? Dead wife? Hello?
Has anyone seen my wife? She's dead, by the way.
I gotta go. Time to leave, I think. Health ring? That statue scared me. It has neither rider nor horse have head.
Huh.
Rider's missing arms.
Yeah.
Feels
Can't
like
have
that
it
would be a little hard to ride a horse without arms, but you know, not impossible.
head.
Just yeah. You
You probably need at least some appendages to ride a horse. I think he
Maybe.
remembered his legs, so he's got that going.
did have legs there. Camera? What are we doing? What are we doing over here? James, are you looking at anything? Yeah, you are.
It's probably worth mentioning that, like, the photo he has of Mary is from before she was ill for a very long time.
This
Would
one?
not be helpful.
You mean this one?
Yeah. You're looking at it so you
This
get
one.
more Mary points for the ending.
What about this thing? This thing here. Just had been a minute since we looked at anything in our inventory. I just felt it was very important to take a peek at Mary, dead wife, and knife, blood knife.
After that picture got taken, she was ill for several years and then dead for several years. So like,
Hope it's doing it again.
It's fine. It'll work out. We'll get there.
I'm just gonna do that real fast, just in case.
So the menu we're liking, but I don't see the drop down menus.
Yeah. You just get to see my cursor.
No, you're not.
That's
Do I
not
look like
Mary.
your girlfriend?
No, my late wife. I can't believe it. You could be her twin. Your face, your voice, just your hair and clothes are different.
My name is Maria.
Maria.
I look like a
Maria.
ghost, do
Didn't he say Maria when he's talking about
I? Feel
Mary?
how warm I am?
Yeah.
As well as when he's talking about Maria.
I told
For
you.
sure when he's talking about Mary.
Sorry.
And he might do like a different variation sometimes with Maria. It's very strange the way that Troy Baker has decided
Didn't you
to
say she died?
say literally anything and everything.
Oh,
Made some
yeah,
choices.
3 years ago. But I got a letter from her. She says she was waiting in our special place.
And that's here? Anyway, I haven't seen her.
This dumb?
Is this your only special place?
Well, there's the hotel too, I guess. The one on the lake? I wonder if it's still there.
The Lakeview Hotel? Yeah, it's still there. So, the hotel was your special place, huh? I'll bet it was. Don't get so mad. I was just joking. Anyway, it's not that way. It's this way.
You're coming with me?
You were gonna just leave me?
No, but
With all these monsters around?
no, I just.
I'm all alone here. Everyone else is gone. I look like Mary, don't I? You loved her, right? Or maybe you hated her.
Don't be ridiculous.
So it's okay?
Yeah, fine.
Maria, get. Bumped her. Can't believe
Bumped
you've
her.
done this.
I bumped
Took you
her.
like 5 minutes to get the
Right?
setup right for
I-
bumping into her.
I kept running into her is the thing. I don't know why she just kept walking out of the way. Why would she do that? Why would she not let me just run into her? The fuck, Maria? I can't fall off those steps. Tragic. Oh, she's ready to keep up. James is not looking at anything.
Also, we do have like we have a companion now. They can't really do a lot. It's just an escort mission now.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, she stays out of the way.
Yeah, she can get hurt, and you have to use healing items on her, right? Yeah.
No.
No. Oh, okay.
She
no, I'm
she
thinking
can get
4 then.
hurt. Yeah, she can get hurt, but like you don't have to use anything on her. I
Does she
think
die, or does it just give you points to things?
I think she can die. But I think usually, like, if it's monsters that are attacking her, she can take, like, a hit or two, and then will, you know, heal up over time, I believe.
Alright.
I definitely remember doing a murder on her before. Because I was just very annoyed with her. I think it was, like, one of the first times that I played through, and I was just like, you know what, fuck you, Maria, and I hit her, and then I got the game over. So she can die, but you can also usually just, like, run past everything.
Yeah, if you could run past the thing, she'll probably get past it too.
Mm-hmm. Do a stomp? Yeah. Where are we going? We're going this way. Excuse? Lakeview Hotel. Okay, Maria, we're just gonna keep running, okay?
Don't
Time
stop
for us
for no reason, please.
Just go. I think we're heading to the bowling alley? Yeah. Yeah!
It's a Pete's Bowlorama.
Yeah! We love bowling here.
We're gonna go bowling with our cousin Roman.
Exactly.
GTA 4.
That is one of the only GTAs that I, like, am vaguely familiar with. Because Emmy would play it.
Otherwise it would
No.
not gotten much of a reaction.
That's one of the games that Emmy would play anytime I'd, like, come over after school. If I wasn't playing a scary game for them, then she was playing GTA 4 for me. And that's my story about GTA 4. Oh, it's nothing here. Why'd we come back here?
Oh, you
For
bumped
that.
her again. Oh, it's noting that down in the spreadsheet. There's points going up and down.
We are just gonna do all the things.
Times bumped, incremented by 1 just now.
Okay, so that was for Heaven's Night, which is locked. James, where are you going, buddy?
It is like a weird way to like give you an ending, and it's like trying to, I don't know. It's trying to like take into account like what the player might be feeling about the various situations and characters and stuff into what ending you get.
Hurry back.
It's just,
Okay.
it's very strange in practice.
Listen, this is before we had any real way to do strange, weird psych profiles on our players.
Kind of trying to do shared memories before shared memories.
Yeah.
I don't think it's good in shared memories either, but that's kind of what they were going for.
I'd much rather what they did for
So what'd
2
you do?
than what they did with Shattered
Collaborate
Memories,
with
because
murder?
it's like there has to be like there's an intention with it for 2, where
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I am actively looking at the picture of Mary, or I'm looking at this knife, and I'm trying to be mindful of the fact that like Maria is next to me or whatever. Whereas with Shattered Memories, it's oops, I looked at a beer can for too long.
Yeah.
Why don't you just say you're sorry?
If you look at like anything,
I guess I
you're adding like points and things in shared
Oh,
memories,
good.
and Like,
They
I
wouldn't
kind of
listen.
want to, like,
Nobody
see
would.
the things in the video game, generally. Like,
Yeah, I would like to be able to just if it's just flavor text, like I want to see that. I want to
yeah.
interact with all that. And Shattered Memory says, "No, you will be alcohol dad if you do, or you will be weird sex fiend dad." And it's like, well, I don't want to play your game then. Consider. If you don't want me to look at the things in your game, then I won't play your game.
Plus, it's like, it's making very harsh
Ready?
judgments about the player over there, and
Yeah.
there's like not like a good way for James to go, I guess.
Yeah, I remember. But
It's kind of a good ending. I can't remember how you get.
no.
I think it's just not looking at anything.
I meant in this one.
Oh. The leave ending I think is like the best one, and it's by not looking at the photo or the knife. I think it's the one that like you can most
Just the
easily
normal
get.
one.
Yeah.
But why?
That makes sense.
Laura,
Mhm.
is that her name?
So we're going for either in water or the Maria one.
How could you
Yeah.
sit there
I was
She said she was
wanting to
fine
go
by
for the
herself.
leave ending.
You said a fat girl
But then I
you
was
would
like,
slow her down.
Yeah, it seems.
eh.
Forget you.
But then I can't interact with the things, and that seems funny to me.
I do think. It's never been like confirmed what's canon or anything, but to me the
Who
leave
is that girl,
ending
anyhow?
seems
know.
like the
All I know is her name.
the bottom one for
Where?
me, like of which one I'd want to be the real one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy with either in water. To be fair, they're all, I don't know. It's fine either way, anyway. To be honest.
It's all very personal.
Yeah.
What you think should be the ending, and I like that about 2. Did we get an item from Eddie? It's fine.
It's the ending that's like 1% nice to James, so like, ugh, that can't be the ending.
James is a bad man. Doesn't deserve nice things.
So it's like never been confirmed what ending's real, and he doesn't survive one of them. But like, he's not important enough a guy that matters to anything else going on in the world. If James lived or not, he's trash, but not in like an interesting or unique way.
Yeah. Maria? Oh.
Did a little girl run out of here?
Well, I wanted to go grab that,
She was too fast for
you
me.
know, that health drink, but
Aren't you gonna go after her?
well, do I have to? Consider. We get health drink
Where
first.
are you going?
I was going to the right to go find the girl! Oh my god, Maria.
She didn't think you should go on the path. You know, she walked through the grass to get to where the little girl was.
Just crawl through the bushes. Have fun. I don't wanna though. Too bad! Okay, now we go through Heaven's Night. I know what's happening. Maria, unlock door. It's locked.
She went through there.
How?
Damn,
I know
she's
I
in
know
that
she's
barn.
small, but oh
Yeah,
god.
yes. Right
boneless child. Maria, just unlock it for me.
It's no good. It's locked.
Thanks. Still no new weapons. What was it? Empty can, sink, cardboard box. None of them will be of any use.
What do you mean? Could you put that cardboard box on and pretend to be the orange? The guards will have no idea.
Use the cardboard box to hit an enemy one time.
Oh no.
Maybe
Knock
it'll
'em down if
explode
you-
even before it hits them.
Yeah, if they grab you.
What are you looking at, James? First aid kit, nice.
In terms of like, if like Silent Hill 1 is the most likely of all the Silent Hill games to have at least like made local newspaper headlines, Silent Hill 2 is 0% chance. This just
Yeah.
no one ever hears about this, about what's happening here in the world, in the broader world.
Random white
And-
guy goes missing. Oh no.
I think that like should probably like say something to people who like this is the main one, and that's how low the stakes are. It's just very in close, very personal horror. Like that should probably, if you're thinking of making a Silent Hill game, if you're a dev and you're thinking of maybe making a Silent Hill game,
First off,
you should
don't.
probably keep that in mind. Yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Keep that in mind.
Not the hospital. Before we go in there,
Get to see the nurses.
I can deal with seeing the nurses here because they make sense here.
I do. It's just that they're like a stupid trope.
Yeah. Listen, you don't need big titty nurses in all of your horror games, and you definitely don't need it in your other Silent Hill games. Big titty nurses are just for James, okay? Listen.
I think James deserves big titty nurses.
Definitely does not deserve big titty nurses. Agreed. This man has done nothing to warrant access to these kinds of ladies. Are we all just gonna stare at this one health drink? Alright, let's do a save. How long have we been streaming for? Wow, it's 20 minutes. We can go longer.
Yeah.
Just a smidge. We can start
A little bit of
hospital. Yeah. Hospital's definitely a longin', so.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Something's written on it. Potential for this illness exists in all people, and, under the right circumstances, any man or woman would be driven like him to the other side. The other side perhaps may not be the best way to phrase it. After all, there is no wall between here and there. Despite what Origin says, it lies on the borders where reality and unreality intersect. It's a place both close and distant. Some say it isn't even an illness. Cannot agree with them. I'm a doctor, not a philosopher, or even a psychiatrist. I like the this conflation that philosophers and psychologists are doing the same kind of work. um, Sometimes I have to ask myself this question. It's true that to us his imaginings are nothing but the inventions of a busy mind, but to him there simply is no other reality. Furthermore, he's happy there. So why, I ask myself, why in the name of healing? Healing him must we drag him painfully into the world of our own reality. Something else is written by hand. Got the key from Joseph. It's probably the key to that box. Got the purple bowl key. There's the elevator puzzle in this one.
Do you know
Say-
there a translation thing that made psychologist and philosopher just adjacent concepts?
I think it's a doctor just being full of himself.
Yeah, probably.
Or just like, you know, information. Hold on a second. Wait a second. Information.
That says information.
Information.
That says information right there.
Or it's trying to say before information happened. Trying to like say that like because psychologists deal more with like not that
With
they're-
things you can't like see. Like you can see if someone's bleeding, but you can't see if someone's depressed.
yeah. And philosophers kind of deal with the same sort of like big concepts of things that you can only really discuss and not necessarily that are tangible.
Yeah.
Physically tangible, I should say.
Yeah.
I kind of get it.
Or observe.
Yeah. But having worked with a few doctors in my day, both personally and professionally, it's not an uncommon sort of thing to hold, a belief to hold, as far as being like, oh, psychiatrists, Also, I didn't mean to run into Maria that time. That was accidental.
Can't believe you bumped her again.
Well, maybe she should move out of the way. I'm a busy guy. Look at me. I'm running around everywhere. Damn. That should be all the doors here. No. Missed a couple. Yeah.
Not even locked, but like turbo locked. Like cannot be open locked.
That's... And then... the elevator.
I don't know why I thought we should try E. I shouldn't have a look. Like the lock probably shouldn't be broken on E.
Yeah, you would hope not. Okay, I can't mark the ones in by the kitchen. They are blocked.
Actually, do we ever get to use the lift in this one?
Yeah!
Ah, cool.
Because there's a whole thing where while you're in the elevator, the guy starts yelling at you and being like, "Welcome to Silent Hill Trivia!" and then asks you a bunch of questions. And if you remember the answers to those questions, you can get a bunch of nice stuff later on.
Lovely.
Yeah. One of them asks what the name of the amusement park is. One asks what the main road out of Silent Hill is. And I don't remember what the other question is. No, it's about Walter Sullivan.
Oh, okay. The town's main attraction. That guy who killed all those kids.
I think it's kind of more just like, what's the name of the man that did do a murder on all those children? And it's like, yeah, it's, we read about that. We know this.
Yeah. Fun little quiz.
Fuck!
Oh, jeez.
Okay, let's, you know what? I think it's time to change weapons.
Okay.
Step on her.
The wiggle on the floor, it's horrible.
Awful. Awful to look at. Miserable to witness. Hate, not unequip. We'll leave it on the bullets. Ah! I got scared.
Shot the leg, idiot.
Yeah. Not what I would normally want to do, but also I came around a corner and it was on my face, so you know, what can you do?
Fair.
We didn't check these doors. Oh boy. Something inside the pocket of the white lab jacket. White is questionable.
Yeah. Parts of it were white once.
Magazine here won't do any good. No time to be looking at a stupid poster. What do you mean, James? It's your favorite kind. What did I get out of the pocket?
Key for examination room? Yeah.
Cool. Cool. Oh, I almost shot Maria.
She don't look like a monster, and she don't react to your presence.
It's just when you turn around and she's just standing there staring vacantly, it's a little scary.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Probably get a tetanus shot, bud. Got a bent needle. Ayo! We got a shotgun. And I'm very excited about this. What are you looking at, bud?
In any place of healing, you do have to worry about zombies. It's just a very real, very valid concern. Do need to have a shotgun locker.
Very important.
You might never have to use it. You hope you never have to use it. But if the dead do start to rise and attack the living, you're gonna be happy
be
that you have a
prepared.
shotgun locker.
Coming over here?
Did you use stealth?
I guess I
Fuck.
stealth?
I genuinely didn't know you could stealth. I thought they just always knew where you were if you like were close enough to them.
I think she probably just got confused, honestly. Feels most likely. Check this last door.
That seemed intention. I don't know. I don't know what's happening here.
Yeah, it's just noises. It's just bad sounds. Also, just out of curiosity, we do get 10 every time we pick up a box of ammo. So that's nice.
Yeah.
You have a lot of first aid kits, which I like. I'm not gonna whine about that. Kind of a fan of that, actually. Maria?
There she is.
Stand over there like a little freak.
gonna
Lapis
teleport
eye
past
key. It's terrifying when she does.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how did you get in here before me? Also, why are you standing there like that? Being an absolute freak. perfect. It's very
Become
nice.
Desensitized to big titty nurses after Homecoming.
Listen, these
I
nurses.
mean, we haven't played that yet, I guess.
Not yet, but.
We did watch Super Gripper and play a lot of it.
Listen, these nurses, not even that big of titties.
Not even that big.
Cleavage isn't even
Sorry.
hanging out. They're
Why are
holding
people
out
even
on us.
scared of this? I don't. This game. They're not even that big.
Listen, as somebody who has had a reduction, big titties, terrifying. Awful. I start panicking when I see them.
Just like, oh god. Back.
Oh no! Oh my god, and a man who can shoot over a bed! Oh wow! Okay, maybe my criticism of James, just a little too harsh. Listen, James, bad guy, has done some horrible things, has committed a crime or two, but consider he can shoot over a bed. And that's very exciting to me.
Travis is not like a bad crime lad, but also has not done anything ever and has no personality other than liking his truck.
Yeah. I'm starting to, like, seriously doubt how much he actually likes that truck.
I mean,
was-
that's true. He could just go back to his truck at any time, and he doesn't.
He was in no rush to get back to it. Jesus, James. I know I'm the one who made you gun her down just walking up behind her, but fuck, guy.
No one in Silent Hill, like, fully understands the situation, but I don't think Travis ever realized anything was unusual
No,
while he was in Silent Hill. That was
absolutely not. I don't think
he's,
he,
like, too dumb to realize that any of that was not normal.
I do think he, like, made a couple of comments, like, in the theater that things were strange. But that could just be because, you know, he's not big into stage productions and stuff like that. And that would be a very normal
like
response.
The kind of guy who'd never go to a stage production.
Would be very interested in that.
He was confused because he'd never been in a theater before.
Yeah.
That was the issue.
Excuse me? Maria? Okay. Was a little concerned. Just about where she was standing and not knowing where anything else was. That was a little scary. Special treatment room, storeroom, elevator. Day room. Cannot get into day room. At least from over here. Understood. Elevator also broke. Elevator also broke.
It might be the same elevator, Kish.
I think so, but it's you never know. Sometimes it works on specific floors. Look, we're operating on Silent Hill logic right now, okay?
That's true.
Maybe you can only access the elevator from the top floor. I don't have a code for this area.
Oh, 451.
Something tells me probably not.
Probably not. I don't think the dark code had been invented yet.
Didn't know about it yet. Okay, so the door that I skipped over was the door I needed. Understood. Oh, one more floor. Or is it the roof? It's roof. It's roof.
System Shock 2 has been out 2 years.
Dang!
Wait, when Silent Hill 2 came out, it's just before everyone started copying it, I guess.
They
Also
knew
the
about
phone.
it, but they hadn't implemented it yet.
The technology was there for people to make the code to a dot 0451.
Exam room. Exam room. I used the examination room key. Bullets. Shotgun shells. You love to see it. Third floor patient wing hall, 7335. We have written this down. Thank you. Let's get up there and unlock it, and then I don't know. I kind of want to wait until we do the old switcheroo,
Yeah,
and then we'll probably stop.
that makes sense.
I am no longer as full of soup as I was, but that has left me very sleepy.
People do that.
Good soup. I don't need to kill every nurse that I see, but kill a lot of them. 3, 5. I can hear things skittering around.
Oh, is that the noise? Okay.
It's just a nurse.
I was worried it was a bug coming towards me
Yeah,
that triggered
same. Ah, James!
And
You fool! Thought I had reloaded recently. Guess not. You doing okay, ma'am?
James. Wait a minute. I'm kind of tired.
Are you also full of soup?
It's just a hangover.
Oh, never mind.
You should rest.
Here, stay in this gross room.
So comfy.
I don't think it's that nice.
I'm gonna go look for her. For Laura. I'll be back as soon as I can.
the bed is also gross.
Right? Everything here is disgusting. But, you know, we don't have Maria anymore, and that's nice.
Yeah.
She'll
You can't
stop
bump into
scaring me
her.
now.
I'll
Yeah!
shoot her by accident.
Somebody's squelching over here. Reload.
Don't get many shotgun shells when you pick up a box, so...
No. Any other... I mean, there has to be. Never mind. Locked. Not locked.
Goop!
We found a
Can you
new
hand it?
hole. Yeah, new hole just dropped. You know what that means? I think I need some hair or some thread. I think it's hair that we get though to attach to the
Weird.
needle so that we can fish that out. Because this hand too big for hole. Are you kidding me, dude?
We just have
How
the
many
stuff station.
how many times do I have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Old leg man.
Nope. So I'll keep doing it. Okay, there is something else in this hallway.
Sometimes.
That is more legs. But
Just
also, I want to
another
make sure I
leg.
didn't. I did skip a door down there. Ugh. Hold on, legs. I'll be back.
Did it say the lock? Okay, yeah. There were padlock on that one. I didn't notice there'd been padlocks on the other one. So that was
There have been
Padlocks
padlocks
on
on all of them. You know, just to be safe. There we go.
It's just the leg idiots you're worried about. I think you could just have like a handle. I don't think they could manipulate one of those.
Lois will take care of you forever. It's my destiny. 4, as in the number. Well, it's quite the locked box you got there. Bud. Told your friend and I'll tell you. My goodness.
Result.
Tough legs.
Just leveled up from all the other times that you beat them up.
They've gotten stronger. Do an overwrite. Alright. We have everything here. We've gotten more keys, haven't we? Lapis eye. Nice carvings at the top of the key. The arrows part is made of lapis lazuli. Roof key, right, that's what we got.
Roof.
It's roof time. Where are stairs? Further down. Through door. ma'am.
Man, I thought you were just legs.
I had hoped. I had hoped she was just legs. Okay. Those are the stairs. I remember. We go up. I used the roof key. I think there's a note up here that you want to avoid for one of the endings. For like the leave ending, I think.
Okay.
It might affect one of the other endings as well, but I don't remember. But we're gonna read it anyway. Something on the floor. Is this a diary? May 9th. Rain. Stared out the window all day. Peaceful here. Nothing to do. Still not allowed to go outside. May 10th. Still raining. Talked with the doctor a little. Would they have saved me if I didn't have a family to feed? I know I'm pathetic. Weak. Not everyone can be strong. May 11th. Rain again. Meds made me feel sick today. If I'm only better when I'm drugged, then who am I really? May 12th. Rain as usual. Don't want to cause any more trouble for anyone, but I'm a bother either way. Can it really be such a sin to run instead of fight? Some people may say so, but they don't have to live in my shoes. Maybe selfish, but it's what I want. It's too hard like this. Just too hard. May 13th. It's clear outside. Doctor told me I've been released, that I've got to go home. Diary ends here. No more entries. What was a diary doing up here? That's what we're concerned about? What a diary is doing up here? Hello?
Oh. Oh, dang.
Fucking owned us.
Just got spat kicked off the roof like Pyramid Head.
He said, "This is Silent Hill!" And kicked us off the roof. Isn't that cool?
Sorry, everyone.
Bad news, everyone!
Yeah.
James is just fine. He will survive. Hi, Devo. Wow. Something written on the wall. 7384? Or is that a 2?
Could be a 2 or a 7. It's a very wibbly 7. Or a 2 with no bottom part.
Yeah. I'll write down both. Turn, turn, turn. The numbers better not forget them. So I'll write them down here. The other one, my secret name. Hi, Devo. Hold on, sorry. Can you stop? You don't need to know. Hi.
Turn the numbers, better not forget them means it's for the turny numbers lock rather than the press the buttons numbers lock.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not think of the word for what I was trying to describe, so I'm glad you worked it out. The turny numbers lock, you know those.
Old school padlock.
Yeah.
The kind you would put on like a bike or something. I understood. Rotary padlock? Is
That sounds right.
that's the only thing that I can think of to call it. And it's at the end of this hall, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have enough numbers?
For the one.
Yeah, I thought.
Might as well just put it in now before I forget. I have it written down, but of course I've not put any distinguishing notes next to it. It's just numbers.
Makes sense.
We'll start with 2, just because that was the closest. Oh, weird. Okay. It was
Hey.
a 7. Just a very strange 7.
Yeah.
My secret name. The other one. I didn't think it was in there, but I wanted to double check just because the one word for 4 was spelled like the number, but I think that's just because this person may not know how to spell very well, and that's okay.
Either that, we need like 3 more numbers from somewhere.
Horrible. I would hate that. Wait, what do we have in our inventory? Oh boy!
Is that from getting kicked?
I think so.
Horrible.
Pulls drawn on it in purple. So the only 2 keys that we have, and I don't have the thread.
String or hair.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's hair. But
Pyramid have hair? Can we go up and ask for an off cut?
I just need like 3 strands, buddy. Okay. How? Cover over the button. What did that say? It's locked and I can't get it open. Okay. Sorry, trying to think of where we can use a key. Can't do the elevator. Everything on this floor has been unlocked. Roof.
Do we want to go back to the... It's
We
possible that there's something
could.
up there now. But
Yeah.
also it's possible that Pyramid Head's still just hanging out.
I don't think he is. I don't think he's still up there.
He doesn't tend to stick around.
No, and I don't remember if there is something up there or not, but since we're close, it's not that far away, we can definitely go up there just to double check.
One more thing, sir.
Hello?
Careful around the edge.
Yeah, we'll just get a little close to see if there's anything there.
Was the
but not
door
too-
locked over there, or did it not let us check?
It was locked.
Oh yeah. Sorry.
All good.
I wasn't sure if it'd like let us get to the point of actually clicking on it before we got kicked off the roof.
Nah, I think we did.
Yeah, I think it was coming back out that he got you.
Yeah. Sorry, Diva was making noises again, and it sounded like somebody knocking. I love it when my cats make scary noises. It's my favorite. I didn't need to go through here.
Debug does. Wow.
I don't. He's so dang loud all of the time.
He likes to go wow.
I know. There's nothing that we can unlock on this floor. Hey, Devo. All done, buddy. Yeah. Thank you. Just cleaned their box this morning, but he's like, I have to pat at it constantly. And it's like, hey,
Ooh.
maybe don't.
Sorry. It's locked.
Yeah. I had hoped as well.
Can we get to the kitchen, or is there something in the way?
I think there's stuff in the way.
Yeah, I assumed.
Could talk to Maria again.
Okay, the doors are just weird, I guess. Never mind. Wait, why are there no doors on the other side? There are no doors to the kitchen. Alright,
Oh.
never mind. I'm just blind. Also, the doors are
So
locked.
was I.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, something's blocking that door. We can't unlock that door. There was nothing else in the examination room or the doctor's lounge. I guess let's go talk to Maria.
Seems fair. Can tell her that we got kicked off a roof.
What do you do with the problem like Maria? Sorry.
How do you catch a cloud infinitive?
Thank you. This is fine.
It was either on you for singing "How do you solve a problem like Maria" or join in. I picked the Paragon option.
Kayshurrr will remember this. I don't know where that one came from. I don't even like the sound of music.
Who likes the sound of music? Nerds like the sound of music. Not even like the same nerds who like musical theatre, like different
No.
nerds.
Very specific subset of nerd.
I'll be okay soon.
Okay. Well, what else can we do? I'm gonna go back into the shower room, because that's the thing we need to do, right? We need to get this out of there. Hole's too small, I
Yeah.
can't get my hand inside to reach. Maybe if I had a long, narrow tool of some kind. Well, we got half of the tool. I don't think I can just use that, can I? It isn't long enough. I appreciate the fact that he tried. You know what? Good on you, James. You wanna use stick? You wanna use stick and hole? That didn't really help, did it? I don't have anything to combine that with.
Oh,
Oh?
in one of the examination rooms, we missed a code
Oh, okay.
for the extremely locked thing.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I think the extremely locked thing has the hair in it that we need. But you said one of the examination rooms? I don't need specific, I just need...
Yeah,
Okay. Cool. We
I
can...
think it's one of the ones that's like on every floor.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, it's definitely not this one.
Count this examining room.
Cannon room 3 on the 2nd floor. Okay. Maybe Maria was in the way. I'm just gonna say that Maria was in the way, and that's why I didn't find it.
Could have been it. Just standing in awkward spots on some of them.
Very strange places.
Ah, heck.
It's fine. We can probably just ignore them. Maybe.
We just have to run like 3 steps. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's just right here. Interesting. I'm gonna say Maria was in the way.
She might
I
well have been stood there.
I think I was trying to interact with this and nothing happened, and so I just assumed that it was fine.
Yeah, if you not at exactly the right angle, you were getting the paper as well.
Yeah.
So if there was someone awkwardly stood in the way, that would make it even harder.
814. 8143. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Oh, I probably should have like read that, but you know, if anybody
I don't
wants
read
to.
it either.
Here's the thing. I will upload this to YouTube. So if anybody wants to read that, you can pause. The beauty of YouTube. Saw something about being scared. I'm sure it's
I know
fine.
it. I know the number of the box and then the number. It can't help him anymore. The button key doesn't scare me, so nobody can stop who I am. I don't know who I am is who I am is who I am is.
Perfect. There you go.
And it's different on hard or extra difficulty for puzzles.
Oh. The note or just
Although
the
it's
number?
just longer? The number's always randomized.
Okay. That sounds correct. That does not surprise me. Alright. I'll go all the way to the end of the hall. Let's go. Eight, 1, 4, 3. Oops. I only meant to click that once. 8, 1, 4, 3.
I believe we need to use the keys on it as well.
Yeah, that would make sense. I was just trying to figure out how to get out of that screen.
Yeah.
And then we use the eye key. The lapis eye key. And then we use the bull key. What a locked box! My
Did not
god.
want you getting that hair.
Well, to my hair now, it's like 4 strands. They're not even that long. Taking those. I got a piece
I
of
got
hair.
a piece of hair. Set it in sync.
Got a piece of hair. Combine. Excuse me?
Do you have to do it where you want to use it?
Maybe.
It
Weird.
seems like a horrible way to do it, but you could say I can't use that here, not I can't make something out of those.
Yeah. Rude. I was just trying to be proactive. It's fine.
More like no active, because you can't do it.
Cry. Find and use. There we go.
That's a really awkward way to do it. It should let you just put the items together in the inventory.
Yeah, I don't think you have to do it like super consistently throughout the game.
Yeah, I remember it being
So-
a thing.
We got it. You should probably stop hanging it over the hole that we just got it out of, though.
It's going back in if
buddy.
you keep doing that.
Right. You are tempting fate, and I don't expect those hairs to last. Okay, we can't use this one because this elevator it's covered. Got a cover on the buttons. Oh, wait, I should probably save.
In case you get the quiz wrong.
Well, no. We'll just get the answers for the quiz. Don't get to answer quiz just yet.
Okay.
This one? Mostly it's been a minute since we've saved. It's not been too long, but we got some stuff done. So, you know, might as well.
Apparently the bloody wall is like infamous for giving you numbers that you just can't fucking read.
LOL!
It's a random code and it could be anything. And some of the numbers just look like nothing.
You just kind of have to guess?
Sometimes.
I mean, the 7 we got was very strange looking, but
Yeah.
you could kind of see that it was indeed a 7. But also, you try writing numbers in blood. See how well you do.
They did like a different version of each number that is hard to read for every slot that number can appear in.
Jesus. Rude.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad we got pretty
Got
easy
pretty
to read.
legible one.
Yeah.
We had one number that we had to kind of guess a little bit at, and that's fine because you can just keep going around on the one thing
Right?
until it works.
Hey, Maria. I got
Maria.
Maria. Got the thing to work. You wanna come for a ride? In a very normal kind of way. Good?
James, I want to ask you something. What if you can't find Mary? What will you do?
Cry.
I haven't thought about that.
If she's dead, you're probably not going to find her, so maybe you should consider the possibility.
I've not considered it. I've only thought about wife. About beautiful wife. And knife.
Beautiful wife and beautiful knife.
My beautiful knife wife. I mean, wife, knife. I mean...
Gonna
My
marry
beautiful-
this knife.
Dead knife wife. This is my wife. Knife. Down to 1. Because this will put us on the side of the door that we could not get to before.
Nice.
Knife.
Wife.
Can't go in there. Where am I? Okay. Can't go to pool. Not allowed. James, I would like to see where we're walking. Thank you. What are you looking at? Shotgun shells.
Good find. Good spot, James.
Handgun bullets. Anything
Small
else, buddy?
TV. That's probably good for one bash before it breaks.
James doesn't have the pockets for that. You kidding me? What do you think he is, a trucker? Ridiculous.
Laura?
Huh? You know my name?
Eddie told me.
That big fat blabbermouth.
How do you know about Mary?
What's the big deal?
Why can't you just tell me?
You gonna yell at me if I don't?
No, I won't.
I was friends with Mary. We met at the hospital. It was last
Mary was already... I'm sorry, Laura. Anyway, let's go. We can talk about this later. This is no place for a kid. There are all sorts of strange things around here. I can't believe you haven't even gotten a scratch on you.
Why should I?
Yeah, exactly. Listen, Laura tough.
Wait, there's something I gotta get.
Later, okay?
But it's really important.
What is it?
A letter from Mary.
Huh?
I wanna go get it. Is that okay?
Yes, yes.
Come on, hurry up.
Is it in there?
Yeah, in the back.
What are you doing, Laura?
It's further back in the desk.
Laura!
Fucking Rube.
What are you doing?
A key.
Gross.
I tricked you.
Open the door, Laura.
Why should I? I'm a liar, right? Want me to open it? Huh? Do ya? What's the magic word?
Laura?
Okay, I guess it won't open it. I think I'll just leave you like this.
You snotty little brat! Open up!
It's not the magic word.
You,
Laura?
Fart face! Yappa! Alright. Pretty okay boss fight. Just sucks because there's two of them and they will grab you with their tootsies. And that sucks.
Yeah, no one wants that.
Ugh. Ah! Well, that's one of them down.
Nice.
Fuck!
Oh god, James.
We're gonna get footed. Oh god. I just hit every button because I didn't know what to
Some
do.
text came up.
It's too dark?
A lot of things happen.
James, please.
Sometimes he's like James, you could be having a way less bad time if you just weren't a piece of shit for like a minute.
Right?
Like, you're making Silent Hill worse for yourself.
Where are you going? A third? I thought there were only two. Sir?
Getting crunched.
Getting crunched.
Getting crunched with the powerful toes.
Horrible toes. Keep your
Horrible
feet away
toes.
from my face. Excuse me.
James. James. James.
also forgot that like James counts how long his wife's been dead by how long she from when she went into hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He's
hey.
just
James
a
is
piece of shit.
kinda not a good guy, is the thing about this man.
He's not good.
No. Um, this is one of those games that's really cool just because you do get it from like an unreliable narrator's perspective. Because at first you just kind of you take him at his word. Yeah, my wife's been dead for
Yeah.
3 years, and like it's weird that this is happening, but we already have like the pretense of like Silent Hill being a little wibbly from the first game.
Yeah.
No one here seems to be doing great. Oh, we just saved, didn't we? Please let me out.
We have seen a dead person in Silent Hill, and also we've seen supernatural things all over the
Yeah.
place.
So it's like it's obvious that something strange is going on. At least for us, the player, even if James isn't acknowledging it. But yeah,
Even
it's
that
just...
kind of makes sense, because like no one's operating like 100% in Silent Hill. Yeah, James, do not ever give James the benefit of the doubt. Do not.
No.
If you hear something from James, you need a better source. If James tells you the sky is blue, find a better source and have them verify this.
Right. But it's just like it is like a really interesting setup because it's like when you first come into it, you're like, why would this man lie about this stuff? Like that's his wife. Of course he loves her, and then everything unfolds.
It seems like completely just very normal and boring. And he
Yeah.
is in fact still normal and boring, but also like in a horrible toxic way.
An absolute piece of shit.
And has done horrible boring man crimes.
Yeah. But that does we are now officially in the other world hospital. And it's a long bit. We'll probably do more of this tomorrow, I assume,
Yeah.
unless, you know, things come up. Sometimes they
Sounds
do.
good to me.
But
Unless things come up.
yeah, but we should be good for tomorrow. And I'm excited about it because I like this game.
Yeah.
It's a good game. And I've been having a lot of fun doing Silent Hills with you, so you know.
I'm glad.
That's cool and fun. For now, you actually have people on today for the first time in forever.
Ooh.
So we're gonna go raid Hugh Chu, who's playing
Chew.
Yeah, Chu is playing some Lethal Company, which is a game that I've kind of like vaguely looked at, and it seems interesting. Co-op horror. I think you're like building like a space station or something, and shit's happening.
You're just trying to make like a quota from finding like salvage, or you get murdered by your boss.
Perfect. Love that for us. But yeah, we love Chu here, and it's been a minute since we've A, raided them, and B, done a raid. So we're gonna do that. Yeah, like I said, we'll tentatively be back tomorrow. For now, have a good rest of your night, friends. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, bye.